Hello, this is a behind-the-scenes look at my recreation of the Twilight Zone episode, What's in the Box? One of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. It starred William Demarest, otherwise known as Uncle Charlie, as Joe Britt, Joan Blondell as the harpy Phyllis Britt, and of course the questionable TV repairman and the television set. Okay, first of all, there's the dolls. My favorite is Joan Blondell as Phyllis Britt, the Broad. She is modeled after this photograph from the show, and the original doll was a Rosie O'Donnell, because she's kind of buxom, and her round face just lent herself to Phyllis Britt. I actually have two Phyllises. This one is modeled on this picture from her saying, "Yonkers, yonkers, yonkers," ad nauseum. The TV repair guy was just some army guy that I dressed up, and William Demarest is actually a figurine of Darren McGavin from that movie, A Christmas Story. And given that he has a wife like this, his ball and chain is present, although it doesn't show up in the video. I know it's there. The all-important television is a toy TV that I sort of altered. It's got this piece of cellophane in it that acts as a piece of glass, and it's made such that I can slide pictures behind it, like this one of Joan cackling, doing her Yonkers bit. I slide the plastic over it, and I have the television with whatever I want inside. This stack of screen caps from the episode acted as my visual aid for creating the set, which you see here in an overhead shot. And then here is the miniature set, using furniture that's Barbie and Ken sized, painted to look a little bit more realistic. The walls, in most cases, are just cereal boxes that have a wall taped to them, so they can act as walls. And of course, we've got the swinging door, as seen in the episode, that nobody really has except people in TV shows and movies. And outside the window is the city view that they have in the show, and that's just accomplished with yet another cereal box with a window in it and a light shining down into the cereal box. So there's our city effect. Cheap but effective. One thing I've learned about doing these doll videos is when I'm puppeting them around with my hand, which is generally out of frame, I am bumping stuff, the dolls are moving around, and they are bumping stuff, so I have learned now to hot glue stuff down, like on this bookcase. Nothing comes off of there. It's hot glued down within an inch of its life. Because if I had to redress and reset these every time a doll bumped into one, I'd be really irritated, and it wastes time. I'm a stickler for detail with the sets, even though nobody will notice. There you see the coffee table with a basket of fruit and Joe's six-pack of beer, and I've recreated it as best I could here. Detail of the buffet, vases and candles there. I figured I couldn't find candle holders for this scale, so I figured, well, knowing the Brits, they'd stick them in beer cans. The lamps, well, I tried. They're not exact, but interestingly, the shade and the interior part of the lamp is also from A Christmas Story. It was the leg lamp, but I wrecked it and used that little vase as the base. The little figurine there is key, as Phyllis breaks it over Joe's head during a fight. The Brits do not smoke in the episode, but I figured they would, because how else would Joan have that wonderful husky Yonkers, Yonkers, Yonkers tone to her voice? I mean, she's a broad. Another sight gag there. Nobody sees it, but I know it's there. As is this cameo that just happens to appear when Joan is saying, "What's the matter, Joe? Is the set still on the blink?" You can see technically I'm very advanced with my lighting. And there's an auto light hanging from a blender. The way I do my audio for these things is really kind of cheap and sad, but it works for me. To do the dialogue, I have a little tape recorder with the dialogue recorded on it.
Yonkers, 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 fan dances. How can you just stand there?
You must be bugs. What you see is in your mind, Joe, and what you hear is your conscience. There, take a good look.
Turn it off.
Why? It's just another program like wrestling. Let's watch it together. I haven't had a good laugh all day.
Get out of my way, fellas.
Oh, I'm so frightened you scare me to death. Oh, my, how how rough you are. Tell me what you see, Joe.
One detail of which I'm especially pleased is the painting on the wall over the TV set. Upon analysis, it looks like a Venetian scene of a bridge over the canal, and I rendered that as best I could. I even painted it in color, though I knew that the piece would be in black and white. Items I'm often in need of when I'm doing these little things: tape, and I've got to have props readily on hand down there under the table. And a cat food can. There's the TV repairman's tools in here. All the things that were in their kitchen. I have one shot that establishes the kitchen.
Great dinner.
And here's the kitchen as seen in the program. I could not actually puppet the dolls just as they moved in the film shot without trashing the set. For one thing, Uncle Charlie here can't sit down because the Darren McGavin doll is not jointed at the waist like a Ken. He can move one arm, well, both arms, and one hand, and that's about it. And Joan has no feet. Needless to say, going from that to that is a bit of work, but it just takes a lot of carving with a knife, acrylic paint, and yes, little teeny tiny brushes. Whereas Darren McGavin / William Demarest needed very little work except some paint to bring out the lines and such. I think he had a tie on, but I just sanded it off. You've got to be brutal with these things. I mean, obviously. The method by which I showed the television from their point of view, showing commercials and such, is my computer monitor with a piece of construction paper attached to it, colored to look like a TV screen, and I have YouTubes of vintage commercials at the ready. And of course I had to make them big size to fit the screen, and there we are with Barbie. And I just used the ambient sound coming from the speakers so it would sort of sound like it was in a room. And that's how you do a cheap TV effect. Right now there is something that the Brits should be frightened of. That is the giant cat that just sort of, appeared in my set when I went to get a phone call. This is what I came back to. This happens. Even though it is on the kitchen table, I guess he just jumped up there and is making himself at home in their apartment. The cat now is trying to seek escape, but I don't want him to really do it that way. There's got to be a better way. There's nothing on the other side except, yeah. So you might want to just, stay there.